Hello and welcome to my part 2 of me demonstrating the new Lisa Eldridge holiday collection. Today we're going to be tackling the Vega eyeshadow palette and the Duchess lipstick. But before we go on to do that, speaking of part 2, I wanted to say that today I woke up to this wonderful round number of subbies. I have 2,000 subscribers, and if you know anything about my channel, you know that I don't really care about YouTube numbers. If I did, I would have quit YouTube at least 3 years ago, but I do love me round numbers. I do really like that 2,000 number written on my YouTube studio page, and it was very surprising because I've been crawling really slowly towards the 2,000. I've been stuck at like between 1950 and 2000 point already for quite a few months. So I was like, oh, it's going to take probably another couple of months before I hit 2000 subscribers. So I was very surprised. So that video I posted yesterday with part 1 of me demonstrating the Sorcery eyeshadow palette and lipstick must have attracted an additional almost 20 people. So welcome to all of you new people. I hope you're going to enjoy it here. But you're all here for the makeup, so I shan't waste your time. Speaking of makeup though, I did want to make one additional remark about the Lisa Eldridge goodies. A lot of you messaged me on Instagram, and you mentioned in my comment section on YouTube that for some reason I've been very lucky to get everything so fast, because some of you haven't even received shipping notifications, and it might be as late as November 23rd before your stuff ships. I have no idea why, you guys. There is really no rhyme or reason, and frankly I have never had the experience of having to wait with a Lisa Eldridge release. It's one of the biggest reasons I love shopping from her website, because it's like instant gratification, and we love instant gratification on my channel. Pretty much every time I've ordered from her, it's always been shipped almost immediately, and it has arrived the day after or 2 days after. But now that I live in the same country as her warehouse, it actually pretty much always comes the next day. So I don't really know why this is happening. I think it must be exceptional to this launch, because I don't think it has happened before that people have had to wait so long to even receive a shipping notification. Be patient, your goodies are going to come, and I promise you're going to love them, and the wait will be worth it. Let's do the same we did yesterday. I'm first going to try the lipstick, and then we're going to do an eye look. And you have absolutely no idea, like you cannot even imagine how in tune Lisa Eldridge and I are, because I've been thinking for the past like month or two that I would really like to have a deeper red, something like Ribbon, but darker and vampier. And then she goes on and announces the color Duchess, and I'm like, I heart you, Lisa Eldridge. You read my mind and you make all of my lipstick dreams come true. Even when she was demoing this lipstick, I did not expect it to be so perfect, because Lisa Eldridge has very strong lighting in her videos, and sometimes I feel like that washes out and changes colors and makes them look a little bit brighter. So when I received the lipstick in my hands, I was so happy to find out that it was exactly what I wanted. It's not a tone darker than Ribbon. No, it is quite a few tones darker than Ribbon. It's not quite a brown red, but it really is like the sultrier, sexier, you know, grown-up sister of Ribbon. Here is Duchess for y'all. Look how beautiful this lipstick is. This lipstick, you guys, I love it so much. It is exactly what I wanted it to be. I don't remember what she wrote on the website. I can never remember the exact descriptions of these lipsticks. What I recall from her video is she described this lipstick as a classic blue-based red, but not quite as bright as Ribbon. So just like the deeper version of Ribbon. And I do agree with this description. I do think it is a classic blue-based red. There isn't really a lot of brown in here. It's more like a pinky blue-based red, but it is deep and sultry and gorgeous, and it looks like velvet on your lips. It is so stunning. Unfortunately, I don't really own the other lipstick that will very much be in the same veins as Duchess, and that is the color Jazz. Jazz, from what I have seen from comparison swatches, is more brown compared to this one, and has been on my wishlist for a really long time. I still don't have Jazz. I don't know if I will ever decide to purchase it, because I feel like maybe I have similar colors in my collection, but I am going to compare to Ribbon, because I feel like these are the two most important to compare to each other. So here is the comparison for you, just in the bullets, between Ribbon and Duchess, and you can tell how very well my Ribbon lipstick has been loved. So I'm going to put Duchess right here for you. I would describe this as like a deep berry. Here we have a ribbon, which is much more of like a, I don't know, strawberry color. And I think those swatches kind of speak for themselves. Look how much brighter ribbon is while retaining those same blue tones, and how much deeper, sultrier, and still more subtle in its tone, so not as bright, the new Duchess color is. So if you love ribbon, I can almost guarantee you're going to love Duchess as well. And now let's dig into the Vega eyeshadow palette. The Vega eyeshadow palette is what I would describe as your smoky, cool-toned, very winter color story. Packaging we've already tackled yesterday, an absolute vintage perfection. And let me show you the color story of Vega up close and personal here. Let me also switch off my ring light so that you can see it without any sort of artificial lighting shown on it. And now with a bit of artificial lighting shown on it. So unlike the Sorcery eyeshadow palette, this one actually features, I think, pretty much most of the formulas and textures that she has released, because there is a seamless matte, again, there is a velvet matte, there are metallic shades, and there is a luminous shade. The luminous shade is not a duochrome, so this I've already swatched this eyeshadow palette, so I know that unlike Sorcery, this one doesn't really have quite the glittery effect and the duochrominess that Sorcery has. It is a little bit more subtle in terms of the textures, but it is still very pretty, and I find it such a glorious combination of colors, such a beautifully curated winter cool-toned color story. So without further ado, let's swatch the eyeshadows. So here we have French Grey, Smoke and Mirrors, and Moon Swirl. French Grey is in her velvet matte formula, which is described to have a little bit of like pearl to it, like a little bit of more of a satin finish. Consistent with the one from Sorcery, the next shade, Smoke and Mirrors, is in her seamless matte formula. It is a very deep, like almost blackened navy brown, and it once again feels very like creamy and latexy almost to the touch. And last on this row we have the shade Moon Swirl, which is a metallic cool-toned shade. Super pretty. The following three shades, we have Turbulence, we have Supernova, and we have Lamp Black. Turbulence is once again in her seamless matte formula, so the one that feels more like a latex cream eyeshadow. Then we have the shade Supernova, which I suspect has a more glittery-ish type of finish. We're going to shine an artificial light in a little bit from my phone. And last but not least, we have another seamless matte, and that is Lamp Black. And I am so excited to have a black in this formula, because I think this is going to be the most glorious black in my collection. I love a lot of my Pat McGrath blacks, but that latexy, sort of like creamy formula that has zero fallout, and look how black that is. It is just glorious. I think this eyeshadow color story is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, here we go. So the metallic shade and the luminous shade are quite a bit more glittery, especially that luminous shade has a beautiful like sort of wet effect on it. And I think the biggest also difference between Sorcery and Vega is that you're actually getting like 4 matte eyeshadows in here. So keep that in mind. In this eyeshadow palette, you're only getting like 2 like sparklier finishes. The rest is all matte eyeshadow. So I think this is also geared more towards the people that like their cool-toned eye looks, but they also like them to be in more subtle finishes. And it was not intended like this, but I'm actually very happy to have both eyeshadow palettes, both Sorcery and Vega, because Vega being so heavy on the matte eyeshadows is going to support Sorcery really well. And I am already thinking about combinations that I can do of the eyeshadows to curate sort of like my own color stories. So we're definitely also going to be doing that. There will be a lot of content coming with these eyeshadow palettes, I promise you. So just like yesterday, I don't want to go overboard with the amount of colors that I'm going to put on my lids, although I feel like in this specific case we could actually try to use at least like most of the shades that are present in here. What I would like to do is start with this shade through my crease, like the very light taupe shade. And then I want to apply this one very close to my lashes as a bit of like a liner and to give depth to like the lash line. Then I want to apply this beautiful, glorious navy blue in my outer corner. And then on my lid I want to apply a thin layer of this, and then over top of that I want to put this for like a bit more of like a glittery effect, and also use this one in my inner corners. And then on my lower lash line I still haven't quite made up my mind if I want to put the blue or maybe test out this darker brown, but we shall see as we go. So this is in her Velvet Matte formula, but once again there's literally like no even like kick up in the pan. I just want to show you. These are so creamy that there's literally zero kick up in the pan. The Seamless Matte for sure is pretty much a cream. I wouldn't even call that a true powder. Okay, so this is maybe a little bit too light for me, so I'm going to dip back and forth between this shade and this shade, just to intensify a little bit the tone of that French gray shade, because that French gray shade is maybe a little too light for me almost. But I wanted to make a remark about the Seamless Matte formula, the one that feels like very latexy and very creamy. I think you should probably be using not synthetic brushes, but like normal animal derived bristled brushes, because I think otherwise you may struggle a little bit to pick up product, because the synthetic brushes might just be too soft to pick up enough. Now, if you are out there longing for your perfect cool toned matte eyeshadows, then your search is finally over. I don't think it gets more cool toned than this. Oftentimes you will have these cool toned palettes and then you will apply the browns and they will not be just quite as cool toned. These are truly very cool toned. So if you had dreams of taupe cool browns, Lisa Eldridge has come through and made them a reality. Next, I'm taking this little pencil brush from Sonia G. This is her pencil 1, and I'm going to go into the black shade. And like I said, I'm going to try and smoke that black shade out here into my lashes, because I want my lashes to appear very dark. It is going to be covered by a lot of other eyeshadow, but it will still create that effect of like sultriness. And this eyeshadow is just so black. I love it. I'm cleaning my brush a little bit because I may have taken just a little bit too much, and now I'm going to start sort of blending that and smoking that out, especially here towards the outer corner. I'm not going to apply too much more because I want to apply a little bit of the brown navy shade. I can sense how this black eyeshadow is going to become my favorite black eyeshadow in my collection. It is so glorious. Alright, next I'm going to take a somewhat smaller brush like this one. So this is a blending brush, but still of a smaller size. And I'm going to go into that brown navy shade, and I'm going to start working that here into the outer corner of the eye. And I love how buildable these eyeshadows are. They just apply beautifully. They're never too much. Look how subtle that is, and you can totally keep it at like subtle like that without having to go much deeper. I'm going to apply just one more layer and apply that right here into my actual socket where the color needs to be the darkest. But oh my gosh, I love her. Like that Seamless Matte formula, the one that feels a little bit latexy, I love it. I am, by the way, seeing a little bit more powder kick up in the blue and the black eyeshadow, and also this deep brown. I feel like the matte gray blue I used yesterday from Sorcery was so creamy that it had literally no powder kick up. There is a little bit more powder kick up here, just, you know, something worth mentioning. Now I am going to grab a little shader brush, and I'm curious how the metallic formula of this shade is going to apply with a little shader brush. Very creamy. And by the way, I'm not using any glitter glue right now. because I just want to see how these perform without glitter glue, because I think they will perform beautifully. FYI, Pat McGrath's metallic eyeshadows also don't need glitter glue, but I just really like how much more kapow everything is over glitter glue. As you can see with the brush, this is applying as a nice soft layer without really being too textured and too metallic. And there is a reason I'm reeling myself in right now, you will see in a second. I'm going to take that luminous eyeshadow, the Supernova shade, and I'm also going to apply a little bit of Fix Plus, because I want to see how much like glass effect this is going to give when it's truly wetted and at its best. And I'm just going to pop that right here in the center of my lids. Beautiful. And finally, I'm going to take that luminous eyeshadow, the shade Supernova, and I'm going to apply it on its own into my inner corners. Once again, I feel like it is just not as brightening on my skin tone. So one thing that I will say about the eyeshadow palettes that I picked up is that perhaps in the future I would have to resort to other eyeshadows to brighten up my inner corners. The Supernova shade is sort of kind of doing it for me, but I still feel like it's lacking the brightness that I need. I would actually like to keep my upper lash line consistent with the lower lash line, so I'm going to apply the absolute tiniest bit of that black shade right here into the very outer corner, and then for the rest I'm going to apply the matte blue. So I'm just sketching a tiny bit of that black shade, cleaning off my brush and going back into the blue. And then I'm going to smoke that right here. And it is sparkle time! I think you can tell the sparkle in these eyeshadows is a lot more subtle than the eyeshadow that I used yesterday. The luminous eyeshadow from the Sorcery palette is far sparklier than this. These are a bit more, you know, sophisticated grown-ass lady sparkle. I love both of these so much, and I also think they make the perfect pairing because these are both so grown-ass and so sexy. Women of my age, seasoned, we've lived a life. We are supposed to wear these, okay? Sorry, 20-year-olds. But joke aside, I love this eyeshadow palette. It is just the ultimate cool-toned curation that I've been lacking in the makeup community for such a long time. I had been hoping that Pat McGrath is going to give us something like this, but with her beautiful baked sparkly eyeshadows, and I'm never going to stop hoping that she's going to do that someday. But in the meantime, Lisa Eldridge has given us the absolute elegant perfection of a cool-toned curation. Now, in terms of colors, are these unique? No, there's a black, there are two browns, and there are two like taupey champagne kind of shades. Nothing here is groundbreaking in terms of the colors. Although I will say, these two are quite much more cool-toned than a lot of you are probably going to be prepared for. This black is stunning. I love it so, so much. The two metallic eyeshadows I think are the least impressive part of this palette. They are there, they provide, you know, the effect that they need to in a subtle and elegant way, but they're not here to wow you the way that the metallic and sparkly eyeshadows in the Sorcery palette are going to do that for you. I'm very curious about the other three palettes, and there is a very good chance that I'm going to also demo Cinnabar for you, because one of my besties bought it, and she's a good soul and she will probably let me borrow it and try it out and demo it for you as well. But I really love this. I love this so much. I think the most unique eyeshadow in here actually is this blue eyeshadow. I just haven't seen blues that are this specific tone with... It's very hard to describe. There's a little bit of gray in here. There is like this a very specific tone of blue that I do not own in any of my other eyeshadow palettes or single eyeshadows. This is a very unique blue to my collection. So overall, I am extremely pleased and impressed with both the eyeshadow palettes that I picked up. I will think long and hard about whether I want to pick up some of the others in the future. I've been thinking about Myth, but the problem with Myth is that I don't know that I wear purples as often, and I already have a lot of really beautiful purples from Pat McGrath. So maybe I should just be good at keep it at these two eyeshadow palettes. But honestly, now that I have tried the formula and I see how elegant and beautiful and classy these are, it is very hard for me to restrain myself. But for now, I'm gonna keep my cool and I'm not going to order anything more, and I will just come back and hopefully demo Cinnabar for you next week. In the meantime, do let me know what you thought about the looks. If you would like to see any more comparison swatches, I didn't do any comparison swatches for Vega here because, like I said, a black is a black. So the only difference between all of the blacks that I could swatch for you is for you to see the difference in the textures, but I think the most important thing is how they go on the eye. Some of you have already requested some additional comparison swatches from the Sorcery palette. I am going to do those for you. We are going to do more looks with both of these palettes now in the coming week or two. I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts in the comment section of my videos, and we shall see each other again very, very soon to do more looks with Sorcery and Vega. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!